What's going on? Welcome into Bayou Bengals football. So I was listening to Brian Kelly's press conference today, and one of the reporters asked a really good question. He goes, how has your run game improved at this point compared to this time last year? I thought this was a really good question. It really makes me think that I was thinking that, because one of you guys commented LSU doesn't have a strong enough run game to blow out Florida State. So it really gets me thinking, like, if LSU's run game is improved a lot, is that kind of the missing piece for LSU to get a blowout win against Florida State? Maybe. But yeah, I think that's a great question. It really made Brian Kelly think. I forget exactly what his answer is. I don't want to say what I thought he said, because I don't want to spread something that's not correct. But from what it sounds like LSU has improved in that aspect. Now, Armoni Goodwin is doubtful for that game, which I think is big, because Goodwin is a guy that's a good receiver and running back. So I think no Goodwin that game hurts LSU. Obviously, certainly doesn't help. Having a guy like Goodwin is key, because Goodwin's an excellent runner and pass catcher. So, that dual threat element he brings is key. I think last year in the Florida State game, he had a big reception for yardage. So yeah, no Goodwin, but if there's one position where they can afford an injury, it certainly is at running back, just because of how deep they are at the running back position. So Brian Kelly was talking about the returners. Caleb Jackson and I think he said Aaron Anderson are going to be the two returners for LSU. So that's what I expected. Aaron Anderson, I think, has a definitely, at least you saw in high school, definitely a skill set where he can be an excellent punt or kick returner, punt returner. Caleb Jackson, too, just an excellent runner with a good feel for making people miss, and just looks so comfortable running in space. So Caleb Jackson, Aaron Anderson, I think, are going to be excellent returners for this team. He did not really talk too much about the Mason Smith situation. So I thought that was interesting. I was hoping he would comment on it, but I guess at this point, what is there really to say about the situation, other than it's just too bad that they're not going to have him out there, and that there's really nothing they can do about it. But yeah, special teams, some other big questions on Brian Kelly's press conference, and it sounds like they've really worked to prepare and take the necessary steps to make sure that they do clean up those and do not have those mistakes on special teams. But yeah, and he was talking about Florida State. He was going around the stats of Florida State, won 6 games in a row. Gave them credit. Talk about the challenge of going up against an opponent like Florida State. It will be a challenge, certainly, and even if they were to blow Florida State out, it would be because they're really on their A game. They're really sharp. They're really executing on all cylinders and just making big plays. So Florida State not going to lay down and die either. That's I don't think that's in this team's DNA. I don't think that's really Mike Norvell as a coach. So expect a tough, hard-fought game. I've already touched on it. I think LSU could blow them out, but it certainly has the makings to be an excellent game once again. So, but yeah, other things. What else did he touch on? There was one other thing he touched on in the press conference that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. But yeah, I think Brian Kelly's demeanor. We talk about guys staying level-headed. I think Brian Kelly understands that he's got a good team, but he can't. This might be one of those teams where he doesn't necessarily want to pump them up too much. He doesn't want kind of the hype to really feed into them too much, where they get overconfident. That when the overconfident, that can lead into losing a game you shouldn't. And sometimes in the SEC, in the grind of a season, you can't afford to lose any games you shouldn't, because when you stumble, if you lose a game you shouldn't because you're a little overconfident, you're thinking you're a little too good, You lose that game, that turns in, that's obviously a loss, and then that can lead to, potentially another loss. So, but yeah, I wish I was able to watch the whole thing. I just had to get this episode recorded. I had to get this episode. I had to, start talking here. But yeah, I mean, I think that Brian Kelly understands what type of team they could potentially have this year, but they really have to, it's right now, I think the ultimate way to describe the demeanor is, we have to prove it, and we have an opportunity to prove it week one. And I think this is a test. Brian Kelly, this week one game against Florida State will be a test to his team. How it's a year two with everything. You should be comfortable in everything. We have some of our assistants back. Year two of our strength and conditioning program. Everything should be pretty smooth sailing right now. And with that being said, hopefully that translates into wins. He said that, this team prepares well. So he said when he's had teams that prepare well, they perform well. So what that says to me is that, even if that's why I don't think LSU is going to get blown out against Florida State, because, this team is talented enough that since they prepared, they have this extra time to prepare for Florida State. I do not think it's going to equate to them getting blown out. Now, they certainly could lose, but I have a hard time seeing this LSU team getting blown out. But yeah, I like that he talked about preparation. Preparation is so key to having success in sports. The team, I don't think it's talked about as much. Leadership's always reiterated. Having dudes, having difference makers, certainly things that LSU has, but being prepared. I remember, my high school football coach was big on prepared. There was weeks, he talked about all the different looks the team's going to throw at them. The guys you're going against, some of the things they will do as far as schematically. So when you've prepared as hard as possible, it does translate. You can just go out and be confident. You don't really have to think too much. But yeah, I like that Brian Kelly credited Florida State. He talked about what a great player Jared Verse was. Talked about what a great player Harold Perkins was. Talked about how, it's cool to see two dynamic defensive players out there. It kind of reminds me of when LSU played Texas A&M back in 2000. It was a 2011 bowl game. Texas A&M and LSU met, and you saw Von Miller on one side and Patrick Peterson on the other side. It's always cool. The more NFL talent on the field, the better. But two just freakish athletes defensively that can rush the passer, Harold Perkins and Jared Verse, that is really unique, and it's very fun to see. So I really look forward to watching those guys out there. They're two excellent players, and they have a chance to do some really big-time things, not only in this game, but throughout the course of this year. And Verse likely a top 3, top 5 pick, and then Harold Perkins likely a top 3, top 5 pick in next year's draft. So yeah, it's always cool when you have NFL talent, especially freakish guys that can move with freakish movement skills like that in Perkins, Jared Verse, and guys that bring both have a kind of a unique, different skill set when it comes to rushing the passer and making plays defensively. Perkins, just that freakish mover, guy that can get around blocks. Jared Verse with just excellent speed to power, excellent strength, so dominant against the run, holds the point of attack well. The guy that you're going to have to use some double teams with. So then Brian Kelly announced who's going to wear 7 and 18, and Mekhi Wingo is going to wear number 18, and then Will Campbell, their offensive tackle, is going to wear number 7. He's going to wear a patch number 7 because he can't just, as an offensive lineman, you can't have number 7. But yeah, Will Campbell sounds like he had an excellent off season. Sounds like he has gotten better. to me, Will Campbell is just one of those guys that it's such a premium to have in your program. His career is kind of unfolding similar to Penei Sewell, in my opinion. Just a guy who, comes in, highly touted tackle, starts as a freshman, he just shows off a tremendous skill set, just works, continues to get better. It just is doing everything right to get better and help improve this team, and just such a key piece to what he brings to this team. So, like Will Campbell, love Will Campbell, love his skill set. He's going to have an excellent season, and he's going to be up there with Harold Perkins as a potential top 5, top 10, maybe even top 3 pick for the 2025 NFL Draft, as he only enters his true sophomore season. But yeah, it's funny as I keep talking, I've started to remember a little bit of what Brian Kelly has said. I have not, like I said, I didn't watch the whole press conference, but watched enough of it to get a good feel, for kind of his demeanor and what he's thinking for this team this year. But yeah, so yeah, it's going to be an exciting season. The local news put LSU football is back. It's finally, like, bottom line. I mean, it's game week. That's exciting to say. It seems like, to me, when a team plays that Sunday or Monday, it just seems like such a long wait till we get to see them play. It's going to feel like a long time, because a lot of time, like growing up, you get to Friday and it's like, oh, college football tomorrow. But tomorrow, when you're excited, it can't come soon enough. And then Friday, it's going to be 2 days away. It's only Monday right now. By the time we get to Thursday, you're really going to be fiending for that game, and it's going to be the biggest game, Sunday night in 7:30 primetime, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it as well, and it should be has the makings to be a great game. We'll see. I wonder if this year it's going to be a little bit more back and forth. Now, credit Florida State. Florida State kind of controlled the game last year a little bit for the most part. I think this year you may see some back and forth. I think those are always the most, no, that's pretty obvious. Those are always some of the most fun games, the games that are back and forth, exchanging touchdowns, big play every other drive. Those are the fun games, and that there has a chance to be a lot of those in this game. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, he's talked about Malik Nabers. Sounds like Malik Nabers has continued to mature. A reporter made the point last time Malik Nabers played at that stadium. That was he had a massive game against the Purdue Boilermakers. He'd love to have another game like that. I think that would be obviously that would be awesome for LSU, but that would be big time for Malik Nabers in his NFL draft stock. So Malik Nabers is going to look to be a key piece to this LSU offense. He's going to look to be that game changer, a guy that, hopefully for LSU's sake, this guy has, multiple games where he just really tears it up in SEC play. I think that's going to be really critical for his draft stock, and not just for his draft stock, but for LSU team finding a lot of success. But yeah, I'm going to wrap at that. Thanks for tuning into this clip for Bayou Bengals football. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.